So one of the questions that often gets asked is, did the Buddha believe in God? This is one of those questions that never seems to get resolved. And it's often said that Buddhism is an atheistic religion, that it doesn't have a God and there's no belief in God. And there's a story that's been going around for a while about the Buddha, and the story goes like this. One day the Buddha was sitting talking to his monks in the morning, and there was a man nearby hanging around in the shadows listening, and he really wanted to ask the Buddha a question. And he was a devout follower of Rama, one of the gods in the Hindu pantheon. So he waited until the other monks had left, and then he approached the Buddha, and he bowed to him and he said, "Lord Buddha, I'd really like to know the truth. Is there a God or not?" And the Buddha said to him, "No, there is no God." So he thanked him and he went away. And then in the evening, on the same day, another man approached the Buddha. And this man was a staunch atheist. He believed that there was no God, and he used to teach other people, but there's no God. But he also wanted to know the truth once and for all, so he went up in front of the Buddha and he bowed to him, and he said, "Lord Buddha, please tell me the truth. Is there a God or not?" And the Buddha said, "Yes, there is a God." And so the man thanked him and went on his way. And one of the Buddha's chief disciples, who had been around him all day and who had heard what had been going on, then approached him and said, "Buddha, I don't understand what you've been teaching. I was there in the morning and I heard the man ask you if there was a God, and you told him that there wasn't. And I was there in the evening when you told the man that there was a God. What are you trying to teach?" And the Buddha said, Well, I knew the man that came in the morning. I knew that he was a devout believer in Rama. And I knew that he was attached to that view that God is real. So I told him that God wasn't real, to help him let go of his attachment to that fixed view. And I also knew the man that came in the evening. I knew that he was an atheist and was strongly attached to the view that God did not exist. So I told him that God existed in order to help him let go of his attachment to that fixed view. Okay, so this is the story, and it's an attractive story because it seems to have a coherent teaching that the important thing is not what you believe, but not to be attached to fixed views about things. Now, the only problem with this story is that it's not true, that it didn't happen. It was a made-up story. So this story first appeared around the middle of last century, and it was attributed to the Buddha by whoever created the story. And we know that it's not true for a number of reasons. One is that it's not in the Pali Canon, it's not in the Buddhist scriptures, so there's no record of the Buddha ever having said this. We also know it's not true because it's not in the style of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha didn't just say one thing to one person in the morning and then the opposite thing to someone in the evening. The Buddha was very clear about what he taught and taught things in a very precise manner, to always be careful to be speaking the truth. And the Buddha also did talk about the gods. He used to talk about Brahma, for example, and tell stories about the god Brahma. He also talked about a character called Mara, the Lord of Death. This is a character that's not identical with Satan. He's more a character that simply has to carry out the duties related to death. Everyone dies. Everyone has to be ushered on to the next life, and Mara is the one that does that. But also he would talk about, needing to cheat Mara, needing to escape from the clutches of Mara. So he did believe in supernatural beings. And he also used to tell people that if they lived a good life, they would be born in the heavenly realms when they died. And if they lead a bad life, they would be born in the hell realms when they died. There's not just one heaven. In the Buddhist teachings, there's many. And there's not just one hell. There are many hells. So there's a number of ways in which we know that this story isn't true. And it isn't only this story that isn't true. There are many stories that have been made up, created, and attributed to the Buddha. And many quotes. Okay, this is something that's been happening for quite some time. Many people are making up quotes, attributing them to the Buddha, and then they get shared because people simply don't know whether they were ever said by the Buddha or not. And to give you a few examples of these fake quotes, this is one of them. In the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Okay, that's been ascribed to the Buddha and is being passed around or shared on the internet quite freely. It's not something the Buddha ever said. Another one is, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Okay? Again, it's a nice sounding quote, but not from the Buddha. And another one is, a friend is someone who knows everything about your life and still loves you. It's another quote that's been ascribed to the Buddha. Actually came around the end of the 19th century and was originally ascribed to a number of other people before being ascribed to the Buddha. And one more is, don't judge others because you are not perfect. Okay, the Buddha didn't actually say, don't judge others. He actually said, when you do judge, judge in a way that is fair and impartial. That's in the Dhammapada. Now the problem with these fake quotes and fake stories is that we're effectively erasing history. If we start sharing things and saying, this was said by so-and-so, and if we do that constantly and it's all simply made up, people aren't going to know what's true and what's not true. When people say, I think the Buddha was a really great teacher, have you seen all the things that he said? When he didn't say any of them, it's all just fantasy. Then, we can't even talk about the Buddha in any meaningful sense. So I think there needs to be an effort made to start checking, if things are real, if things were really said by the person who they're ascribed to. And the situation has got so bad now that practically every quote from the Buddha that you'll see on the internet was never said by the Buddha. I don't know why the Buddha's been picked out. A lot of these fake quotes are ascribed to the Buddha. The same thing doesn't seem to be happening to Jesus or to other famous teachers. So the Buddha seems to be the one that people like, writing his name at the bottom of things. But there are other teachers like Kabir or Rumi, that you'll get fake quotes from these people. So I would say check everything. If you're going to share something, go back to the source. See if you can find the source. See if you can find what the person actually said, and share that instead. It probably won't be as short and easily shared on the internet as you might like when you find the actual original thing that the person said. But on the question of did the Buddha believe in God, well, he told stories about gods, he told stories about Mara, the Lord of Death, but his central teaching was don't hold on to fixed views about anything. Search for the truth for yourself. So he didn't actually have a view on whether God existed or not.